How do you start a conversation? Why is conversations important? And how do you make sure you have a successful conversation? That's the conversation I'm going to have with all of you today in this YouTube video. So stay till the end because conversations are super important for your career success. Let's get started. You must be wondering, why am I making a video about conversations? I don't know if you're aware of this, but 59% of people, according to research, shows that they miss out on opportunities because they don't know how to make good conversations. Whether you're trying to pick up a girlfriend or a boyfriend in a bar, whether you're trying to impress your boss, maybe a new boss, or maybe you're trying to crack that amazing deal with a client of yours or with your professor for a project submission. Conversations are happening every day and everywhere, but very few people have mastered this talent of crafting amazing and excellent conversation. It's not so easy. It seems like it's all about talking, not really. So first thing I want to talk about is, why are conversations very important? The reasons why conversations are important is it's a very important tool for success in life, whether it is career or, as I said, college or personal life and stuff. But why is it so important these days? Is because the world has become so much full of communication. Whether it is meeting people in person or it's social media or through virtual mediums, conversations are happening everywhere. Whether it is spoken conversations or written conversations. That is why it's very important for you to focus on communicating and conversing really, really well. Now, before you start conversations, there are certain things that you have to keep in mind. Firstly, I want all of you to prepare yourself for conversations. Now, what do I mean by that? If you want to have great conversations, you need to have knowledge. And when I say knowledge, I'm talking about knowledge about a lot of things. Let's say that you are a software developer or you're a coder. Now, you may have very strong knowledge about software and coding, but if you meet somebody on an airplane who is an influential businessman, maybe the person has, apart from many other companies, a software company as well, but he or she himself or herself may not be strong in the language that you are expert in. So if your knowledge is limited to only that, then you're going to lose that conversation because you wouldn't know what can be impressive for that person. So my tip is simple. Read newspaper, all the sections, the headlines. Try to understand what is going on in current affairs. Right from business, politics, sports, technology, personal news, health news, everything. That's what I do. Always read the headlines. I do that every day. I spend like 20 minutes. I read all the headlines. Or there is a website called In Shorts that gives you all the news in short, in brief. So you would know what is happening. This is not just national news or local news, but also international news. So try to do this because this will give you a lot of knowledge to pick up any conversation. Let's say that you walk into college and you have a friend who loves cricket. You can talk about the IPL match that happened recently. Or you meet somebody who has won a competition in arts or in craft. Maybe you have something because you read something about art and science as well in the newspaper. So that's where it's important that if you want to have great conversations, step number one is to have enough knowledge. The next thing about conversation is listening. When you're having a conversation with somebody, it's also about actively giving your full attention, trying to listen to them, not just to reply, but to understand, conceive their thoughts and reply back to them. So it's very important to improve listening skills, which I have made. I will make a separate video on listening skills itself, but try and hone it. Listening skills can be improved by practice. If you are a person who always listens to reply, just try to pause. When they are speaking, after they finish speaking, count 1 to 3 and just think and process what they have said and then you reply. Try this technique, it works. Third point is, there are certain do's and don'ts you have to follow during conversations. I have written down a few to make sure that I don't forget. So I'm going to read out a few that I think you should make sure you don't do. Well, let me start with the first obvious one. A lot of times when you're having conversations, we interrupt people. Before they complete their sentence, we have a lot of things to contribute. I know I do this many times and I've now tried to control it. Like if somebody's talking about music, I'm a musician as well, I start talking over them, and Indians are very, very, very good at interrupting. So stop interrupting people. Do not talk over people. The next one is asking people one word answer questions like, how are you feeling today? Good. What's your name? Ashok. Do you want to come with me to the movies? Yes. These are one word answer questions. Try and ask for open-ended questions and not closed-ended questions. We've been taught all this in our childhood in school, in English. So try and ask them longer questions. So you can ask them, hey, I recently saw this movie. What are your thoughts about it? What are your thoughts about what's happening in Ukraine, for example? So ask them open-ended questions. The third thing is, do not share offensive jokes. You never know what could be offensive, right? It could be religious jokes, it could be personal jokes, it could be racist jokes. Calling things like, hey, look at him, he's so fat. Hey, look at her, she's so tall or thin. These are not nice jokes, So unless you know the person very well, that's a completely different story altogether. So be very, very careful about that. I'm a big fan of not asking personal questions the first time you meet someone. Are you married? Maybe they don't want to get married. Do you have kids? Maybe they can't have kids. They're having a health problem. Do you have a girlfriend? Maybe they are from the LGBT community. They have a boyfriend. So I avoid asking personal questions, but I ask them in a different way. I ask them things like, who do you have in your family? Who do you have in your house? Then they will tell me, I have my parents, I have a husband, I have kids. Then I know who is there in their house. The next one is complaining or bad mouthing about somebody to people. It puts people off. Like, I don't like when people come and start complaining and whinging about somebody else, especially when you don't know them so well. This is another don't that you must follow in conversations. My favorite one is not putting your foot in someone's mouth. When you meet somebody, you just start sharing with them how happy you got a new job and how amazing your last night was with somebody, you had a date, and for all you know, they may have had a horrible day. It really irritates people when you do such things. So these are the most important don'ts in conversation. So the do's can be quite opposite of all of these, right? Asking them generic questions like, who is in your family? How was your holiday going? What have you done recently that you're proud of? These are open-ended questions. These are specific do's, and this can help you have good conversations. I always recommend that when you're trying to meet somebody, do research about them. Have some questions prepared based on the research you have done about them. That helps you ask good questions. You want to leave conversations enough that people say, hey, I want to meet this person again. Which means do not give long answers. If they ask you a question as well, just give succinct enough answers, but not so long that you are blah, 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 and they get very irritated, right? So just be aware of it. And these are some critical points that you have to keep in mind. Do's and don'ts, how to make a conversation very successful. If you can make it successful, you're going to have a lot of success in all the things that you're working on. If you like this video, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe button. And of course, do post your comments of what you found interesting or any other ideas of topics that you want me to make a video on. See you all. Bye. Do click on the subscribe button and notification button to continue watching all the videos that I'm posting.